This is the introduction to section 11.4, part 1, and in 11.4 we're going to be finding the volume of prisms and cylinders. So now we've found surface area, lateral area, now we're going to find volume. Essentially, volume is asking, or when you're finding volume, you're finding how much stuff can I fit inside the shape. Okay, we found out how much is around the surface, around the outside. Now I want to know how much we can fit inside. That's volume. The volume of a solid is the number of cubic units contained in its interior. Now, when we talk about cubic units, we're talking about three-dimensional figures. So I want to know how much will go inside. Again, anytime you're talking about volume, your units are cubed. Or in this case, example, whatever your number is to the third, or whatever your unit is to the third power. Every time you find a volume, it'll be a cubic unit. Okay? So, the volume of any prism or cylinder, basic prism or cylinder, is the capital B, which is the area of the base, times the height of the prism or the cylinder. So I would find the area of the bottom shape. Okay, so in this case, I'd find the area of this square rectangle, take it times the height of the prism. In the cylinder, I'd find the area of the bottom, which is the circle, times the height of the cylinder. Now, again, these you're going to want to write down in your formula sheet so that you have these. I've broken these down. Some of these are on your formula sheet already, I believe. Some are not. So you're going to have to make sure that you check and see which ones are, which ones aren't. Make sure that you have them written down individually. Okay, so to find the volume of a rectangular or square prism, you take the base times the height of the square or rectangle, and then take that times the height of the prism. For a triangular prism, again, you take the area of the base, which is a triangle, so base times height divided by 2, and take that times the height of the prism. So in other words, you're taking base times height of the triangle times the height of the prism divided by 2. For the cylinder, you're taking the area of the circle, which is the base, times the height of the cylinder. Pi r squared times the height of the cylinder. And then finally, for the trapezoidal prism, you have the volume is the area of a trapezoid, which is height times base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. And then you're going to take that times the height of the prism. So height times base 1 plus base 2 times height of the prism divided by 2. Okay, now let's take a look at 3 examples here when we're finding volume. And you're going to find out that volume is a little bit easier, I think, than surface area and lateral area because you don't have as many things to figure out here. You'll notice the right triangular prism here. Okay, so again, one thing that I would suggest that you do is to draw out your base shape. Again, your bottom shape. In this case, I have a triangle. It's 3 by 1. So when I find the volume, the formula for volume is base times height of the triangle times height of the prism divided by 2. Well, the base of the triangle is 3. The height of the triangle is 1. The height of the prism, the line that connects the two triangles together, is 2. And then I'm going to divide that by 2. Okay? So when I calculate that, that ends up with 6 divided by 2. So the volume is going to be 3 feet, in this case, cubed. Okay, so anytime we're finding volume, it's going to be a cubic unit. Okay, so an example here of a cylinder. I'm going to find the volume of the cylinder. So again, volume, my formula is pi times r squared times the height of the cylinder. In this case, my radius is 5. Height of the cylinder, again, the line that connects the two circles, is 6. So this is pi times 25 times 6. When I calculate those 3 numbers, or the 2 numbers, this is 150 pi. When I take and multiply that out, you end up with 471.2, and in this case it'd be meters cubed. Okay? Again, most of the time you're going to round everything to the nearest tenth as you're looking, very similar to your surface area. Okay, let's take a look at the third example now. On the third example here, they do this a little bit differently here. This says the volume of the right cylinder shown is 1,253 cubic centimeters. Find the value of x. Well, in this case, the x is the radius. So, again, I write down my formula. Volume is pi r squared times the height of the cylinder. Okay, I know this time the volume is 1253 pi. I don't know my radius, though actually it's x, so I got to figure that out, times the height of the cylinder in this case is 10. Okay? Well, if I take 10 times pi, I end up with, rounded to the nearest 10, 31.4, and then x squared. Now, I want to solve this equation for x. So I'm going to divide by 31.4. And x squared is going to equal, rounded to the nearest tenth, 39.9. Now, how do I solve for x? I'm going to take the square root of each side. So now x is going to equal 6.3. And in this case, this is a unit of centimeters. So they'll give you some problems where they give you the volume and you have to find a part. It might be the height, it might be a radius, it might be a side in there. Okay, a base or a height of a shape. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go through one more quick example. We're going to take a look at this top left problem. Again, for the formula of a rectangular prism, volume is base times the height of the prism. Again, if I redraw my bottom shape, this is an 11 by 4 on the bottom. So, volume, base of the rectangle is 11, height of the rectangle is 4, the height of the prism is 5. 11 times 4 times 5 gives me 220, in this case, meters cubed. Okay, so I went through a few examples of different shapes to finding volume. Okay, so this concludes section 11 for part 1. Don't forget to complete your WSQ.